Ah, dear friends, as the warmth of the fire warms your face, are you ready to take a deep breath and open the doors of an ancient world? Today, I will take you on a journey that is not just a story, but a legacy that spans thousands of years. The mystical and fascinating mythology of China. It's not just stories, but a treasure trove of legends, woven with the spirit of a nation, beliefs that stretch the limits of imagination, and melodies that echo from the depths of history. Thousands of years ago, when cities, walls, and empires did not yet exist, people felt the breath of nature more closely. In those days, when the wind sang, the rivers told stories, and the mountains responded with wise silence, the sky and the earth were one. It is here, in that golden age when nature spoke to people, that Chinese mythology has its roots. People sought refuge in stories to protect themselves from the flooding of rivers, to wish for fertile land, and to make sense of lightning bolts from the sky. Dragons appeared in these early stories, symbols of both fear and hope. But, dear listeners, hold on. Take your time. These legends were not limited to fear or hope. Starting from the creation of the universe, Chinese mythology flowed from chaos to order, from mortality to immortality. Are you ready to hear the story of the world made of Pangu's gigantic body, the people created by Nüwa's hands, and the Sun Emperors in the sky, and how celestial dragons play a leading role as protectors of the emperors? Today, on this magical journey, we will dive into the stories of dragons, emperors, and the quest for immortality. But first, a question. How have these legends been passed down for thousands of years? What did the Chinese people teach through these stories? What secrets did they keep? If you are ready, let's dive deep to find out the answers to these questions and much more. It's you, friends. Imagine an age in which human beings have not yet managed to distinguish between the sky and the earth. The universe was in a dizzying confusion, a chaos. In those early days, when the sun, the stars, and the mountains had not yet taken shape, when the rivers had not yet found their way, even life itself was still shrouded in mystery. It was in the depths of this great chaos, in those mythical times when nature was intertwined with man, that the roots of Chinese mythology sprouted. The ancient Chinese people believed that there was a sacred spirit in every element of nature. The howl of the wind, the melody of the rain, the serenity of the mountains. They all whispered their own stories. The sun and moon shining in the sky, the rivers and mountains ruling the earth. Each of these was a teacher of wisdom for the people. But these beliefs were not just born out of awe and fear. They were part of an attempt to make sense of life, to establish order, and to unravel the secrets of the universe. This effort formed the first cornerstones of mythology. And this is where Pangu comes on the scene, my dear friends. He is both a hero and a sacrifice in the creation of the universe. According to Chinese mythology, it all began inside a giant egg. This egg was like a cocoon, hiding chaos inside. Days, years, even ages passed, and finally Pangu was born. Trapped inside this egg with his gigantic body, Pangu took an axe in two. The light and pure part of the egg rose into the sky, while the heavy and dense part collapsed to the earth. But Pangu didn't stop there. Every day he pushed the sky a little higher and made the earth a little more solid. As he grew, the boundaries of the universe expanded. Even Pangu's death was a story of creation. His breath turned into winds, his eyes into sun and moon, his blood into rivers, his hair gave life to forests, and his skin formed the earth. And so, his body became the first building blocks that gave life to the world. But what about yin and yang? They were the balance that emerged from Pangu's endeavor. Yin and yang symbolized all the opposites in the universe: light and darkness, heat and cold, life and death. This balance is the cornerstone not only of nature but also of the Chinese people's understanding of life. But dear friends, think for a moment. Who shaped life in this newly formed world after Pangu? How did humans maintain this balance, and which gods and beings shaped this story? The real adventure begins now. Are you ready to hear the story of humanity shaped by Nüwa's hands and his unique story of creativity? Let's discover this legend together. Dear friends, in the wake of order born out of chaos, we reach back to the deepest roots of human history. It is the epic era of the 3 monarchs and the 5 emperors, an era steeped in legends, adorned with heroism, and illuminated by the glow of wisdom. In the history of ancient China, this period is not only the beginning, but also the sacred story of the foundations of civilization. Let's dive into this fascinating realm of legends together. Let us first consider the 3 monarchs. They were wise rulers who brought order to the world just after the birth of humanity. Fu Xi and Nüwa are the first heroes of this story. Fu Xi is the first ruler of Chinese mythology and is said to have developed fishing, hunting, and writing for humanity. His wisdom led people out of the chaos of nature and to the gates of civilization. Next to Fu Xi is Nüwa, a unique creator. According to legends, Nüwa created humans from mud and gave them life. But his story does not end there, dear friends. One day, when a huge crack appeared in the sky, Nüwa repaired it with a seal made of meteorite and dragon veins, saving the world once again. Nüwa's sacrifice and ingenuity is one of the most touching stories in human history. Moving on to the era of the 5 emperors, you hear the name of the Yellow Emperor, Huangdi, the most. But who was this Yellow Emperor? He was not only a ruler, but also a symbol of civilization. Under Huangdi's leadership, revolutionary innovations for mankind, such as the wheel, the compass, and writing, came into being. But Huangdi was not only an inventor, he was also a legendary hero of the battlefield. His victory over his enemies in the Battle of Kogen is a turning point in China's history. Legend has it that Huangdi ascended to the sky riding on the back of a dragon and gained immortality. Therefore, he is not only a ruler, but also a deified figure. The significance of this period lies not only in the stories of the leaders, but also in the cultural and spiritual changes they brought about. Under the guidance of these leaders, people were able to understand nature, build societies, and get one step closer to the mysteries of the universe. From the 8 triagrams drawn by Fu Xi to the inventions of Huangdi. This period witnessed the rise of civilization. But wait, dear friends, think for a moment. In the wake of these great leaders, what trials did humanity go through in the fight between heaven and earth? When the ancient gods and immortals appeared on the scene, how did the heroes fight these forces? In the next installment, we will explore this fascinating relationship between humanity and the gods. Are you ready? My dear friends, I will now introduce you to the most majestic beings of ancient Chinese mythology, dragons. They are an integral part not only of stories, but also of nature and man. Dragons have reigned in the spirit of Chinese mythology for centuries as symbols of power and wisdom. But who are these dragons? Why are they so revered? Let's dive into the magical world. Chinese dragons are not the fearsome and destructive creatures of Western mythology. They are protectors of a nation, balancers of knowledge and nature. In Chinese culture, dragons represent the link between the heavens and the earth. They dance among the clouds, bringing rain, directing the flow of rivers and bringing life to the land. For this reason, dragons have been a source of hope for farmers and the people. In times of drought or disaster, people prayed to the dragons and hoped for their might. But the story of dragons is much deeper than that. Dragons are identified with emperors. In ancient China, emperors believed they were descended from dragons. The throne was called the Dragon Throne and was thought to be a divine source of the emperor's power. Even the objects used in the palaces were decorated with dragon motifs. The emperor had to be like a dragon, bringing justice and prosperity to his people, because the dragon was the balance of both heaven and earth. The legend of the Dragon King and the Four Seas is one of the most remarkable accounts of these mythological beings. According to this story, dragons not only flew in the sky, but also ruled in the depths of the seas. 4 great dragon kings guarded the 4 seas surrounding China, each west, south, and north seas. Each dragon king had powers and duties specific to his region. Legend has it that once 4 dragons came together to bring rain across mountains and rivers to end a drought. However, in using their power, they angered the gods and received a heavenly punishment that imprisoned them. This story shows how delicate it is to maintain the balance of nature. So, my dear friends, can we still find traces of these majestic creatures? Of course. All over China, the spirit of dragons is kept alive in temples, bridges, and even on festivals. Celebrations such as the Dragon Boat Festival, for example, commemorate the power and wisdom of dragons. These rituals prove that dragons still hold a strong place in the hearts and culture of the Chinese people. But stop and think for a moment. Were dragons only the guardians of nature? Or were they a true source of wisdom, revered even by emperors and gods? In the next installment, we will explore the epic relationship between celestial gods and dragons and their role in the quest for immortality. If you are ready, our story continues. My friends, I will now tell you about a concept in China's ancient history that shook both the heavens and the earth: the mandate of heaven. It is a belief that has shaped not only the thrones of emperors, but the lives of peoples, the fate of wars, and even the bond with the gods. Let's take a journey deeper into this fascinating world. The mandate of heaven is the concept in Chinese mythology and political history that rulership is believed to be derived from a divine source. It was thought that the sky, the gods, gave a ruler the authority to rule the earth. But this authority represented much more than a mere gift. The mandate of heaven was a sacred sign of the emperor's responsibility to their people, a kind of divine contract. If an emperor did not treat his people fairly, if he disturbed nature and order, the sky would take back this mandate and give it to someone else. This is why in ancient China, major natural disasters, epidemics, or popular uprisings were seen as signs that the emperor had lost the mandate of heaven. The origins of this mandate took shape with the rise of the Zhou dynasty and was used to cement the legitimacy of emperors. When the Zhou dynasty overthrew the Shang dynasty and seized power, it had to justify itself to the people. The Shang dynasty had fallen out of favor with the gods. Their rule was now a symbol of injustice. The sky was looking for a new leader, and we became that leader. This narrative gave divine meaning to the rise and fall of not only a ruler, but also a dynasty. Emperors were the link between the sky and the earth. The emperor was not only a leader, but also the representative of the sky on earth. In Chinese culture, the emperor was called Tianzi, or son of the sky. Emperors regularly offered sacrifices to the gods, performed rituals in temples, and prayed on behalf of the people to maintain this divine connection. The magnificent Temple of the Sky in Chinese capitals was a physical symbol of this connection. Here the emperors would invoke the gods, seeking to show that they were in harmony with the sky to maintain the mandate of heaven. But the story of the mandate of heaven does not end there, my friends. Not only did the concept explain the divine authority of the rulers, but it also became a way to legitimize popular rebellion. In the eyes of the people, the overthrow of a tyrannical emperor was a change sanctioned by the gods. So each new dynasty blessed their throne, claiming to have won the mandate of heaven. But wait a moment. How easy was it for the emperor to maintain this bond with the gods? What if the gods were dissatisfied with their thrones in the sky? These questions take us into the world of the gods, the heavenly court, and the emperor's relationship with these powers. Were the emperors really the sons of the sky? Or was this just a secret behind this mysterious bond? Ah, my dear friends, imagine that once there were 10 suns in the sky, yes, exactly 10. Instead of bringing light and heat to the earth, the sun, the source of life, was scorching the earth, bringing people and nature to the brink of extinction. It was during this great catastrophe that a hero emerged, transcending history and myth, changing the fate of gods and men alike, Yi, the archer of the skies. Once upon a time, dear listeners, there was not a single sun in the sky, rising and setting in sequence. 10 sister suns illuminated the world according to a sacred order. But one day, these suns decided to go up into the sky together. People hoped to admire this marvelous sight, but they witnessed a catastrophe. On the day the 10 suns shone together, the earth began to burn. Lakes dried up, crops were parched, and people prayed to the gods in desperation. The answer to these prayers came in the form of Yi, who was commissioned by the gods. Hu Yi was not only the most skillful archer in the heavens, but also a hero known for his courage. With his magical bow and the power of his arrow, he had the power to shake the mountains and the sky. Hu Yi rose into the sky and sent a warning to the suns, "Stop scorching the earth." However, the suns ignored this warning. Hu Yi made up his mind at that moment he would take action to save the world. One by one, he struck down 9 of the 10 suns with his arrows. Only one remained, and that one sun remained in the sky, keeping the balance of the world. That is why, dear friends, today we see only one sun in the sky. But Hu Yi's heroism did not end there. This victory earned him a reward from the gods, immortality. However, this reward would lead to the greatest tragedy of his life. He chose to share the elixir of immortality with his wife Chang'e. Chang'e was a legendary figure even in the world of the gods for her beauty and grace. But one day, an unexpected event changed everything. While Ho Yi was on a journey, a malicious man came home and wanted to steal the elixir of immortality. Chang'e had to drink the potion herself to ward off this danger, but the potion's effect was much stronger than expected. Chang'e suddenly began to rise from the ground and soared into the sky. Now, he was doomed to live in the solitude of the moon, far away from the world. Chang'e's solitude on the moon is not only a tragedy, but also a symbol of hope and beauty. According to Chinese mythology, you can see her silhouette every time you look at the moon. People make offerings to her during the moon festival, tell her story, and try to feel the beauty of this solitude in the light of the moon. But my friends, these stories of heroism and tragedy are only part of Chinese mythology. The stories of Ho Yi and Chang'e are incredible examples of how gods and humans are connected. But now, in the next chapter, we will encounter another mystery. Are you ready to explore the relationship between dragons and gods, and the quest for immortality? And how far would you be willing to go for immortality? Oh, my dear friends, imagine for a moment beings living on the peaks of mountains, among the clouds, human-like, but not like us. They neither grow old nor die. They know neither hunger nor pain. They are known as X, the immortals of Taoist mythology. Standing somewhere between humans and gods, these mystical beings have attained the secrets of eternal life and wisdom and have unraveled the deepest secrets of nature. So how does a human being transcend his mortal limitations and become a Jian? According to Taoist mythology, immortality is not a privilege enjoyed only by gods or those who are holy by birth. Immortality can be achieved through strict discipline, harmony of body and soul, and by attaining the essence of nature. Humans have developed countless methods to achieve this. This is where simia and the miraculous power of nature come into play. In Chinese mythology, these herbs purify the body and soul and become the key to the journey of immortality. One of the most famous immortals, my dear friends, is He Shi Yangu. He Shi Yangu was a woman known for her extraordinary beauty and wisdom at a young age. One day, in a dream, she learned a secret from a god. There was a rare herb that grew on a legendary mountain. Whoever ate this herb would be cured of disease and gain youth and immortality. Ishi Yangu followed his dream, found this herb, and ate it. From that day on, he felt his body becoming lighter, moving as if dancing with the wind. He became a Xian, a being who could roam freely in the sky, a being who had attained the secret of immortality. But my dear friends, the quest for immortality was not always so holy and pure. Some people have tried all sorts of ways to achieve eternal life. Alchemists tried to create elixirs of immortality with chemical compounds. These potions, which were mixtures of substances such as gold, silver, and mercury, often ended in disaster. Instead of immortality, potions brought death, but the quest has always fueled human imagination and hope. But did these mysterious gifts of nature really exist? Can these miraculous herbs really be found as described in Chinese mythology? Perhaps immortality lies, not in an herb or a potion, but in one's own soul and connection with nature. Taoists have tried to find the answer by learning to live in harmony with nature. And Dr. Gabby and many of the professors here would concur with me. But basically the rest of the battles play out similarly. You come for our heroes, so important. And you, if you had the chance to become an immortal, you would see how the paths of an immortal life could be any everyday. And I entreat you, if you had the paths of an immortal, would you take it? Ah, my dear friends, I will now take you on a journey through the waters of the distant past. At that time, the heavens were still restless and the earth was in chaos. Rivers overflowed, mountains moved, thunder rumbled, and the earth trembled. Yes, this is one of the unforgettable stories of Chinese mythology, the Great Flood. It is said that the earth was once in the grip of a gigantic flood. The rains poured down non-stop, not for days, not for weeks, but for months. The gates of the heavens opened and the lakes and rivers overflowed. All the forces of nature seemed to unite as people sought shelter in fear. Was the flood caused by human depravity or the anger of the gods? No one knows for sure, but the story leads us to the power of nature and the determination of a hero. It is at this point that a man named Yu appears on the scene. Yu was no ordinary man, my dear friends. He was a leader, endowed with the wisdom of the gods, born to help humanity. His father, Gun, had tried to use the magic earth he stole from the gods to stop the flood, but failed and was punished. Unlike his father, however, Yu would not rely directly on a magical solution, but would show how man could triumph by cooperating with nature. Yu rolled up his sleeves to shape the rivers. Yu the Great embarked on a massive engineering project using manpower, intelligence, and perseverance. He pierced mountains, dug valleys, and rerouted rivers. Yu not only controlled the flow of water, but also showed people how nature could be a friend. It is said that Yu took this work so seriously that for years he did not even see his family. Even when his son was born, he did not stop for a moment because getting rid of the flood was far more important to humanity. Yu's tremendous effort finally paid off. The rivers were regulated, the floods subsided, and people were able to resettle. Yu was recognized not only as a hero for this achievement, but also as the founder of China's first dynasty, the Xia dynasty. His leadership symbolized that humans could live in harmony with the gods. Yu is remembered in Chinese mythology as both a savior and a sage. But this story is more than just an engineering marvel or leader's achievement. The Great Flood is a symbol of the hardships of human history, of helplessness in the face of the forces of nature, and of triumph through perseverance. Yu's story reminds us how important it is to live in harmony with nature. But dear friends, one question remains. Was this hero Yu really a human being? Or was he a divine being sent by the gods? What is the truth of this story? And did this legendary first dynasty of China really exist? These are the questions we will explore together in the next episode, exploring how legends are intertwined with historical facts. And would you, like Yu, be willing to leave everything behind and become a hero for humanity? Now, I will take you to the most fascinating part of ancient Chinese mythology, that mysterious world of gods and spirits, a world that stretches from the celestial palace shimmering high in the sky to the depths of the underworld. As we begin our story, I invite you to the throne of the Jade Emperor, the Emperor of Heaven. The Jade Emperor lives in the highest seat of heaven, in a great palace set in the deepest blue of the sky. This palace is beyond all imaginable splendor. Think of huge gates made of gold, pillars adorned with pearls, and courtyards with celestial dragons frolicking around every corner. According to legends, the Jade Emperor is not seen as the creator of all things. Rather, he is responsible for maintaining the order and balance of the universe. All the gods must therefore submit to his command and rule. As the mightiest ruler of heaven and earth, he gives orders that direct the lives of gods, spirits, and mortals. The Jade Emperor has many servants and assistant gods in his court. Some of these gods are the Dragon Kings, guardians of the four great seas. These kings are responsible for the movement of the waters of the earth. One brings the rains, another regulates the flow of the rivers. Each of them takes his place before the emperor and awaits orders to maintain the balance in the world. The hierarchy of the celestial palace is of a complexity and magnitude that boggle the human mind. Here the gods are arranged according to their rank and charged with various tasks. For example, Kuan Yin, as the goddess of mercy, listens to the suffering of all beings and helps them. Another deity, the Shou Xing, is known as the god of long life and accepts people's prayers for a healthy and long life. Fuxo, Anuk are the creator gods of Chinese mythology. Creating humans and teaching them basic knowledge, this pair of gods are revered as the guardians of humankind. However, this hierarchy, in which order is maintained in the sky, is not limited to the world of the gods. Spirits, mortals, and even the dead are part of this order. This is where our story takes a dark and gloomy turn. To the underworld, Deyu, the land of the dead. Deyu is the destination of the afterlife. Here, souls undergo a kind of purification process. In Chinese mythology, Diyu is different from the Western concept of hell. It is a place of punishment, but the purpose is not to punish completely, but to prepare souls for rebirth. The ruler of Diyu is Wang, the god of death. Wang weighs the good and bad deeds of souls, subjecting them to different punishments and purifying them in the process. Diyu itself is a frightening world arranged layer by layer. Each layer is a place where a different sin is purified. For example, in one layer, thieves are punished with icy cold winds, while in another, liars are made to walk on flaming thorns. Only after Wang's justice are these souls sent back to earth to be reborn. Rebirth is part of a cycle in which souls are cleansed of the burdens of their past lives, and this cycle continues until they reach ultimate peace. In Chinese mythology, the line between gods and mortals is not always clear. Many gods were once mortals and were deified for their goodness or virtue. This in turn fueled mortals' hopes and prayers to the gods, dreaming of one day becoming like them. This bridge from the world of the gods to the world of mortals offered great solace to humans. Death was not the end, but a beginning. A new life could begin under the watchful eye of the gods. But what other secrets do you think are hidden in the depths of this mythological world? What more can be told about the secret stories of the gods and the endless cycle of mortals? In the next chapter, we will get to know one of the most mysterious heroes of mythology, the dragon gods. Get ready for the impact of these mighty beings on the sky and the earth, and their struggles with the legendary heroes who restrained them. We will follow the dragons and dive deep into this legend. Dear friends, I now take you to a colorful and fascinating realm of Chinese mythology, a realm that goes beyond ordinary gods and is filled with enormous creatures that challenge our imagination. Imagine the fluttering wings of a Pangu soaring through the sky, or the grace of a qilin walking deep in the forests. Each one is like a bridge connecting the celestial world and the human realm. These creatures are not only fairy tales, but also represent people's fears, hopes, and dreams. Let's dive into the stories of these mythical creatures together. Our first stop is qilin. In Chinese mythology, qilin is perhaps one of the wisest and holiest creatures. Its appearance is like a combination of more than one animal. He has a deer horn on his head, fish scales on his body, and the imposing posture of a lion. According to legend, qilin only appears on the eve of virtuous leaders or a great change. Therefore, his presence is always considered a harbinger of a good event. It is said that qilin's footsteps are so light that a flower blooms where he steps and does no harm to any living creature. There is a story that when the great philosopher Confucius was born, qilin landed in the town and heralded his birth. By following in the footsteps of this creature, people understood that a new era would begin. It is believed that Confucius' teachings began with this sacred message from qilin. Qilin's descent from the sky brought hope and peace to the people. But what is the mystery of such a wise creature? Qilin's presence represents not only peace, but also justice and righteousness. Qilin is described in legends as a creature that does not touch the innocent, but strikes fear into the wicked. After Qilin, we see another mythical creature floating in the sky, Feng Guang, the Chinese phoenix. The Feng Huang combines the grace of a bird, the might of a dragon, and the nobility of a goddess. It is usually depicted in pairs, one female, Feng, and one male, Huang. But over time, these two figures have become a single symbol. The legend of Feng Huang represents rebirth and immortality. According to many stories, Feng Huang is reborn from the ashes, each time spreading his wings even stronger. This is why it is considered a symbol of new beginnings and hope in people's lives. Once upon a time, the capital of a great kingdom in China was burned and devastated. As the people looked up to the sky in despair, suddenly a huge Feng Huang bird soared out of the clouds and began to descend towards the city. As the bird soared through the burnt city, spreading holy light everywhere, it breathed life into the dead earth, and fresh flowers sprang up from it. People believed that Feng Huang had brought peace and hope back to their city. This miraculous moment established Feng Guang as an eternal protector in the hearts of the people. Apart from Qilin and Feng Guang, Chinese mythology is full of many interesting and mysterious creatures. For example, a wise creature named Bai Zhe has the knowledge of all monsters. According to a legend, when the Yellow Emperor, Huangdi, met Bai Zhe, this creature told him the characteristics and weaknesses of all the monsters in the world. This information was later written down in a book called Bai Zhe 2 and helped people defend themselves against monsters. In another story, there was a wild creature called Nüwa that would descend on villages at the beginning of each new year and harm people. To protect themselves from Nüwa, villagers would hang red paper on their doors and drum loudly to keep him away. Rather than a frightening monster, Nüwa became a symbol that people united to defeat. Over time, this resemblance of the Chinese New Year, and today, these traditions against the fear of Nüwa are still practiced. They were useless. These creatures were not only the heroes of stories and legends, they were also a reflection of nature, the universe, and the human spirit. Qilin was the representative of justice and peace, while Feng Guang was the symbol of immortality and rebirth. Bai Zhe symbolized wisdom and protection, while creatures like Nüwa represented people's fears and ways of dealing with them. The existence of these monsters was an attempt to establish a kind of balance and order for humans. Humans imbued these creatures with stories to understand the complexity of nature and the universe. Each creature carried a particular teaching or lesson, and these lessons were passed down from generation to generation over thousands of years. The peace of a traveler who one day stumbles upon the footsteps of Qilin, the justice dispensed by a ruler who renews himself in the shadow of Feng Guang, or the courage of a child who fears Nüwa. Each is part of the magical tapestry of Chinese mythology. But, dear listeners, these creatures are not just stories. The deeper meanings and lessons hidden behind them are embedded in the hearts of us mortals. So, what legendary story awaits you in the next episode? Are you ready to meet the most powerful creatures of Chinese mythology, the dragon gods, and their world-changing battles? You won't want to miss this story where dragons dance in the sky and control the mountains and seas. Now I take you to an epic period where history and mythology are intertwined. Rise of the Qin dynasty. We are in the heart of China, in an age when dragons soared in the sky and kings spoke to the gods. This period of history transcends time, combining both myth and reality. This is the story of the birth of the great Qin Empire, the ancient pacts with dragons, and the construction of the magnificent Great Wall. Qin Shi Huang, the first unified emperor to leave his mark on Chinese history, was no ordinary ruler. His fate was written in the sky long ago. It is said that when he was a young prince, he dreamt one night that a dragon descended from the sky and gave him the gift of an empire to rule. After this dream, Qin Shi Huang vowed to be more than just a king, to bring the rule of the heavens to earth. Dragons, in Chinese mythology, represented the heavens and symbolized power. Many stories tell of Qin Shi Huang's special connection with celestial dragons. According to the story, soon after the emperor ascended to the throne, he had a temple built in the capital. This temple is known as the sacred place visited by dragons. Every year, the emperor would summon the power of the heavens and dragons here and ask them for guidance. Legend has it that one night a dragon descended from the sky over the temple and whispered the secret of immortality to Qin Shi Huang. This mysterious encounter deepened the emperor's fear of death and led him to seek the elixir of immortality. While Qin Shi Huang wanted to create an empire that would make him immortal, he also had to keep his enemies at bay. This is where the massive structure known as the Great Wall of China came into being. But, dear friends, the Great Wall is not just stone and earth. There was a mythological aspect to the construction of this wall. It is said that one night, Qin Shi Huang spoke to the dragon of the heavens in a dream, and the dragon told him, "This wall will be a shield to keep out not only enemies, but also evil spirits." During the construction of the wall, workers and soldiers often reported seeing dragons soaring in the sky. A careful look at some parts of the wall reveals dragon motifs carved into the stones. According to legend, these motifs represented that dragons helped the workers in the construction of the Great Wall and guarded the spirit of the wall. Another story says that the first foundation stones of the Great Wall were blessed with stardust from the flapping wings of dragons. This blessing is the secret of the wall's survival for thousands of years. There is also a legend that a dragon's bones were found in the most dangerous and high part of the Great Wall. When Emperor Qin Shi Huang found these bones, he believed that the dragon had left him a message and named this part of the wall Dragon Pass. It was believed to be a gate that would stop evil spirits and malicious attackers. It is even popularly said that the spirits of the workers who died during the construction of the Great Wall took refuge in these dragon bones, and their guardian spirits are found in every stone of the wall. Qin Shi Huang's life was not limited to building an empire. He was also a seeker of immortality. Guided by dragons, he consulted many alchemists and drank countless potions. There is a popular rumor that one day the emperor went down to the seaside and saw the reflection of a gigantic dragon in the water, and this image whispered to him that the secret of immortality was hidden in the depths of the seas. Therefore, he sent expedition ships to the seas many times, searching for islands of immortality. Qin Shi Huang's quest for immortality is unique in history. According to legend, this quest did not end even after his death. Huge statues known as the Terracotta Army were created to protect the emperor's soul. At the head of this army is a statue of a general wearing armor with a dragon motif. This general is said to represent a prophecy that dragons would descend from the heavens to protect the emperor's soul. Qin Shi Huang's connection with dragons and the great empire he built left behind many legends. Even after his death, dragons were believed to descend from the heavens to protect the Qin dynasty. Whether Qin Shi Huang achieved immortality under the guidance of the celestial dragons remains a mystery. But there is one question that deepens this mystery. Is Qin Shi Huang's legacy truly immortal? Was there another emperor who could hold the power of dragons? In the next episode, we will journey into the mythological epics of the Han Dynasty, which inherited the legacy of the Qin Dynasty and opened a new chapter in Chinese history. Aren't you curious about the legendary heroes of the Han Dynasty and their connection to the divine? Let's see what else is hidden on this great stage of history. My dear friends, this time I will take you on one of the most mysterious and fascinating journeys in Chinese history, historical reflections of the quest for immortality. It is the story of an emperor's quest to defeat death, the ancient secrets of alchemy, and a quest shrouded in legends. Are you ready then? Here we go. Among Chinese emperors, the quest for immortality became a deep passion and obsession. In ancient times, emperors considered themselves the sons of heaven. They therefore believed that their lives should also be limitless and immortal. Folk legends and mystical stories further fueled the quest for immortality. Chinese alchemists conducted countless experiments to fulfill this desire of the emperors and prepared various elixirs from plants, minerals, and even animals. These alchemists sought to unlock the secrets of the celestial powers, aiming to be the emperor's guides in their quest for immortality. Alchemy was not only a scientific endeavor in ancient China, but also a spiritual journey. While concocting elixirs, alchemists practiced deep meditation and claimed to communicate with gods and spirits. Gold and mercury in particular were the two main ingredients commonly used in potions of immortality. Gold symbolized purity and incorruptibility. Mercury represented mutability and the transformation of the soul. However, these experiments had many tragic consequences. Many emperors and noblemen died at an early age due to the toxic effects of mercury. But even these fatal endings could not prevent the search for immortality. One of the most famous names in this quest for immortality was undoubtedly Qin Shi Huang. This great ruler, who unified China and is known as the first emperor in history, struggled with the fear of death until the end of his life. It is said that when he was young, an oracle told him that his life would not be long and that he would face an early death. This prophecy was planted like a seed in Qin Shi Huang's mind and took root over time, leading him on a quest for immortality. In his quest for immortality, Qin Shi Huang invited many alchemists and magicians to his palace. He sent large expedition fleets to find the legendary Penglai Island across the seas. This island was known as the place where the elixir of immortality was hidden and where immortals lived. It is said that one of the explorers sent by Qin Shi Huang reached this island one night in a dream, and a dragon living there whispered to him the secret of the elixir of immortality. However, before he could reach it, he was lost in the depths of the sea and never returned. So why was Qin Shi Huang so persistent in his quest? Because he believed that he would rule even after death. This belief led him to build one of the greatest treasures of China's underworld, the Terracotta Army. These earthen soldiers in the emperor's enormous tomb were meant to protect his spirit in the afterlife and accompany him on his journey to immortality. The Terracotta Army was no ordinary tomb structure. Thousands of statues, each with the facial features of a real soldier, made up the emperor's army in the afterlife. Each soldier of this army waited with spear and sword in hand, with dragon motifs shining on their armor. According to legend, while Qin Shi Huang slept in his tomb, these earthen soldiers would guard him against evil spirits in the underworld. This army discovered in the emperor's tomb was also a symbol of his quest for immortality, because Qin Shi Huang wanted to maintain his immortality, preserve his soul, and continue to rule even after death. According to another rumor, before the emperor died, one of his alchemists gave him a potion. This potion was actually a mercury-based concoction, and Qin Shi Huang's body was poisoned to death. However, the emperor drank this potion in the hope of immortality. This tragic ending shows how obsessive his quest for immortality had become, and that he even risked death in his quest. The emergence of the Terracotta Army and the tomb of Qin Shi Huang indicate that the quest for immortality was not only an end, but also a beginning. It is rumored that the emperor's tomb was covered with a ceiling filled with rivers of mercury flowing through it and stars representing the sky. These rivers of mercury symbolize that life continued in the underworld and that the emperor's soul would wander endlessly on these rivers. Now you are wondering, dear friends, did Qin Shi Huang's soul really become immortal? Does his tomb full of earthen soldiers hold the secrets of immortality? And furthermore, what did the other emperors learn from Qin Shi Huang in this quest? In the next installment, we will move to the Han Dynasty and discover how this dynasty continued the quest for immortality. Could it be that the traces left in Chinese history by sorcerers in the pursuit of alchemy and immortality are deeper and more fascinating than you think? Let's continue to unravel these mysteries together. My dear friends, we are turning a new page in the long history of Chinese mythology. This time I will tell you how Buddhism infiltrated and transformed the ancient myths of China. Deep in the depths of time, the legends that echoed in the mystical mountains and ancient villages of China took on a completely new form when they merged with Buddhist teachings. The change was so profound that the fabric of Chinese mythology was now filled not only with dragons, gods, and spirits, but also with bodhisattvas and enlightened beings. Buddhism began to reach China in the 1st century BC on the stony roads of the Silk Road through the accounts of merchants and monks. At first, the teachings of this new religion seemed foreign and strange. People lived in a world where dragons made it rain, mountain spirits provided protection, and gods ruled in celestial palaces. But over time, the stories of Buddhism blended with the local legends of China and took root in the hearts and minds of the people. As Buddhist monks built new temples, mythological figures were transformed by Buddhist teachings. When Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, one of the most powerful figures of Buddhist mythology, reached China, she intertwined with the legends of the local people and took the name Guanyin. Guanyin did not remain just a Buddhist figure. She became fully entranced and disturbed and destroyed. She was the one who bored away Isis into demonization, God's disciples. But in transforming Chinese mythology, Buddhism did not exclude it, but rather intertwined with it, creating a new and wider mythological universe. Dragons from Chinese myths also found their way into Buddhist texts. For example, the Dragon King, known in Chinese mythology as the King of the Sea, also appears in Buddhist stories as a being on the path to enlightenment. In these stories, the Dragon King's daughter is described as the first sea spirit to experience enlightenment through the Buddha's teachings. Thus, Buddha's teachings touched the depths of ancient Chinese mythology, transforming the legends and giving them new meanings. Another example is the mountain spirits and guardian spirits. In Chinese mythology, it was believed that every mountain and every river had a spirit. With the advent of Buddhism, these spirits began to be associated with Buddhist gods and bodhisattvas. Buddhist monks believed that they were under the protection of these spirits when they meditated on the peaks of mountains. Thus, mountain spirits became part of Buddhist mythology and were blessed as guardians of temples. Now, I will tell you the legendary story of Guanyin. In ancient times, Guanyin, a goddess who brought compassion and help to the people, won the hearts of the Chinese people as a bodhisattva of Buddhist mythology. According to legend, Guanyin was once an ordinary person, born into a noble family. However, she renounced worldly riches and the life of luxury, and embarked on a journey to help people and alleviate their suffering. Over time, he made great progress on the path to enlightenment and was recognized as a bodhisattva. One of Guanyin's best-known stories is about her answering the prayer of a merchant traveling at sea on the night of a storm. Amidst huge waves and fierce winds, the merchant desperately prayed to Guanyin. At that moment, Guanyin's compassionate gaze appeared over the sea, and the huge waves suddenly calmed. The merchant and his crew were deeply grateful for this miraculous deliverance and accepted Guanyin as their patron goddess. After this incident, Guanyin was believed to be the protector of sailors and travelers. Her temples were built in mountainous regions and seasides all over China. Another fascinating story of Guanyin is about a mother finding her lost child. According to the story, a mother prayed every day for her child who had been missing for years and asked Guanyin for help. One night, in a dream, Guanyin told her that her child was alive and would soon return home. Indeed, a few days later, the child returned home and was reunited with his family. This event is told as a symbol of Guanyin's compassion and mercy towards people, and is widely known among the people. The influence of Buddhism on Chinese mythology not only added new characters and stories, but also reshaped old myths. Many gods and spirits from Chinese mythology took on a different form by merging with Buddhist figures. For example, the god of war Zhonghui was revived in Buddhist texts as a being who guards the gates of heaven by driving away evil spirits. Such combinations added to the richness of Chinese mythology and led to the rapid popular acceptance of Buddhist teachings. And now, my friends, I would like to ask you this. How did these ancient myths, transformed by the influence of Buddhism, change the worldview and spiritual beliefs of the Chinese people? What legacy did this change leave, from daily life to belief systems? In our next installment, we will explore the temples that Buddhist monks established all over China and their mystical stories. What were the secrets hidden in these temples? Stay tuned and let's witness this magical journey together. Dear listeners, are you ready to step out of the magical world of Chinese mythology and discover how these ancient legends are still alive today and woven into the fabric of modern Chinese society? The dragons, gods, and mythical heroes of ancient times have lived on for centuries, not only in stories, but also in the traditions, rituals, and festivals. These myths have shaped the daily life of the people, and over time have become so ingrained that they have become an integral part of Chinese culture. Let's explore how these celebrations and rituals to China's mystical past were born, how they evolved, and how they continue today. The dragon dance, one of the most important rituals of China, was born from the belief in dragons as the guardians of the sky and water. In Chinese mythology, dragons were considered not only powerful creatures, but also sacred beings that brought rain and fertility. In ancient times, people would hold ceremonies to appease the dragon's anger and bring rain during times of drought. In these ceremonies, large statues of dragons would be built, and the villagers would try to please the spirit of the dragons with prayers and dances. Today, these rituals are still performed, especially at the beginning of spring and the Chinese New Year. Dancers dressed in long, colorful, and ornate dragon costumes weave through the streets, imitating the flow of water and the dragon's soaring flight through the sky. The dragon dance is not only a spectacle, but also a connection to the past, myths, and ancestral spirits. Every movement of this dance carries a meaning. When the dragon's head lifts up, the people hope for a prosperous year. When the dragon curls up and dives into the water, it signals the approach of rain and the revitalization of the land. The most crucial part of the dragon dance is the skillful coordination between the dancers, which allows the dragon to move as a whole. At the end of the dance, the dragon passes through the crowd and touches the audience, a moment when it is believed that the person will be filled with luck and blessings. And, of course, the biggest celebration of every year, the Chinese New Year. This celebration is a tradition overflowing with dragons, spirits, and legends. Legend has it that at the beginning of each year, a terrible monster called Neon descends from the mountains to attack villages and harm people. But the people have found a way to get rid of Neon, red color, and loud noises. According to legend, Neon was scared of the color red and the noise of exploding fireworks, so people decorated their houses with red lanterns and held big celebrations. That's why the predominance of the color red in Chinese New Year is a reminder of an old legend that still persists today. On this special night, families organize big feasts and welcome the end of the year with new hopes. It is believed that when the doors open on the first morning of the new year, the spirits of the ancestors will come to the house and be with the family. Legendary figures such as Zhao Shen, the god of the kitchen, ascend to heaven at the end of each year to report on the family. So, to sweeten the mouth of the god of cuisine, honey sweets are offered to him to ensure a good report in heaven. This little ritual is a testament to how ancient beliefs and mythological figures are woven into everyday life. So, my dear friends, are these ancient legends kept alive only during festivals? No! The deep traces of Chinese mythology can also be found in literature, art, and cinema. In classic works such as Romance of the Three Kingdoms or Journey to the West, mythological figures and stories are still told. These works bring not only historical events to the stage, but also gods, dragons, and other mythological beings. For example, Sun Wukong or the Monkey King in Journey to the West is not only a hero, but also a mythological figure in the collective memory of the Chinese people. Today, these myths are revived again and again in Chinese cinema, television series, and animation. For example, Nüwa is a heroine who has moved from mythology to modern screens. In Chinese animated movies and TV series, Nüwa's fight against the Dragon King has been a way to introduce young audiences to these magical stories of the past. These modern adaptations not only provide entertainment, but also serve as a way to pass on ancient teachings and values to new generations. These legends are not only found on major festival days or in works of literature, but in all aspects of daily life. In China, many people place small feng shui statues in their workplaces and homes, which provide protection and are believed to bring good luck. Dragon figures are hung in workplaces to symbolize success and prosperity. Statues of Guanyin are placed in homes as a symbol of peace and compassion. In temples across China, people pray, burn incense, and pay homage to the spirits of their ancestors. As physical traces of the mythological world, these temples draw crowds and connect the past with the present. But my friends, I cannot help asking the question, do these ancient legends and rituals still have the same impact in modern Chinese society? Or are they slowly fading into oblivion in the hustle and bustle of urban life and the fast-pacing world of technology? In the next chapter, we will explore how Chinese mythology evolves in the modern world and how these ancient stories are interpreted by new generations. Can dragons and gods still find a place in people's minds and hearts, even in the age of technology? Let's keep searching for answers together. Dear listeners, this is the end of our journey, but just like in these legends told thousands of years ago, every end opens the door to a new beginning. Together today, we have plunged into the depths of Chinese mythology, listening to stories of gods, dragons, and emperors in search of immortality. We have discovered the mysterious songs of this ancient land, the echoes of myths, and the secrets hidden in the shadows of history. We have been a part of each narrative. One moment, we witnessed Qin Shi Huang's quest for immortality. Another moment, we found peace in the compassionate hands of Guanyin. But these stories are just the beginning. Chinese mythology is not just a world of tales, It is also a bridge that has shaped the way of life, beliefs, and values of a people for centuries, holding them together. Dragons, gods, spirits, and heroes. Each of these figures is embedded in the collective memory of a society and passed down from generation to generation. Today, perhaps when we watch dragons dance in the streets or hear the explosions of fireworks soaring into the sky in celebration of the new year, we see traces of ancient rituals where Nian, once a fearsome monster, was driven away. And perhaps these moments remind us that legends are not so far from reality, that they are still alive somewhere today. But what about in the modern world? In today's Chinese society, with the rapid growth of cities and the age of technology, do we still hear echoes of ancient legends? Yes, perhaps many of us no longer live in the shadow of ancient myths, but the incense burning in front of a Guanyin statue, the luck brought by a feng shui figure, or characters like Sun Wukong, reincarnated in a Chinese movie. These are all signs that these myths are still alive and make sense even in today's world. My dear friends, these myths, stories, and legends are not just fairy tales. They are a reflection of thousands of years of humanity's journey, its fears, hopes, and dreams. Each story is a lesson, a reminder, from the flight of dragons to the battles of gods, from the quest for wisdom to the desire for immortality. Every detail symbolizes a quest that pushes the limits of the human spirit. And here we should pause and think, why are these ancient legends still so fascinating? Why does Guanyin's compassion, the power of dragons, Sun Wukong's rebelliousness still touch our hearts? Perhaps these stories remind us that being human, trying to understand the secrets of the universe and our curiosity for the unknown, are immortal. As we come to the close of our video, at the end of this magical journey, I would like to ask you, can the echoes of these ancient myths still be heard in the crowded streets of the modern world? Can these myths and stories still guide us as we move forward in the light of technology and science? Or are they doomed to be slowly forgotten? See you in the next video, my friends. Remember, the secrets of history and the magic of myths await us.